At 1 a.m. on Thursday, August 27, 2020, Hurricane Laura, a deadly and destructive Category 4 storm with winds topping 150 miles per hour, roared into Cameron Parish and headed for Lake Charles and the campus of McNeese State University.
We're filming this on Tuesday, August 25th. Hopefully by now you know that a mandatory evacuation has been called for Calcasieu Parish due to Hurricane Laura.
Rapidly intensifying and a rapidly growing hurricane now. Wind speeds at 110 miles per hour.
Now winds are 115, making it a major hurricane moving northwest at 15 miles per hour. That means it's really starting to intensify.
Now a very dangerous Category 3 hurricane, this 125-mile-an-hour winds, is moving to the northwest at 16 miles an hour.
A 145-mile-per-hour Category 4 storm. So this is worst case scenario for Louisiana.
It's now in the top 10, Wolf, of the greatest hurricanes to ever make landfall in the continental U.S.
You have to get out. It is going to change the landscape for years to come.
My name is Jennifer Green. I just turned 23 years old and I graduated from McNeese with my bachelor's in management and marketing, and then I just started my master's of business administration in August. So when I first heard about Hurricane Laura, I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it ended up being.
Hello, my name is Chris Thomas. I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs here at McNeese State University. I've been here since 2006 and I've seen a lot of changes in my time here at the institution. Since the police are a unit inside my division that I'm responsible for, I knew that I was going to stay here on campus with them. And then as different people came to join us to say that they were going to stay on campus too, I really started to wrap my mind around what I was doing, which was choosing to stay on campus in the face of a hurricane.
My name is Tom Hafer. I'm the Communications and Media Director for the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. I provide public information for the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. For fun, I like to do play-by-play for McNeese. It's both a hobby and a side job. We wanted people to evacuate. We had to get that message out because this went from a Category 1 to a Category 3 to a Category 4 storm really quickly. So we were worried that people had made that decision to stay.
The day of the hurricane, McNeese police and some core university officials came together and put up a base camp in Farrah Hall. And so that's where we were going to weather the storm. I kept trying to plan for what I thought was going to happen. I walked around the building and I thought, okay, if something happens, where am I going to go? You know, what will I do?
The McNeese president, police department staff, and other administrators hunkered down on campus in Farrar Hall. Farrar Hall, the Burton College of Education building, was chosen as the Emergency Operations Center due to its thick walls and significant interior spaces away from windows. It served the same purpose in 2005 when Hurricane Rita ravaged southwest Louisiana. This time, the sturdy three-story structure could not stand up to Laura's force, and at 2:30 a.m., the roof was ripped from the building and water poured into the top two floors. Everyone moved to the first floor to wait out the storm.
The devastation from Hurricane Laura and the overwhelming challenges facing survivors today.
More than 700,000 people are without power in the aftermath of one of the strongest storms ever to hit the United States.
The strongest storm to ever make landfall here in Louisiana. The wind left a tornado-like path of destruction some 40 miles wide.
Overnight, Hurricane Laura slamming ashore as a monster Category 4.
It really did take my breath. It was a long night. And when we came out that morning, I was blown away by the devastation in the campus and in the quad.
They walked out into the quad at 6:30 a.m. to unimaginable damage. Debris covered the grounds, windows were shattered, trees were broken and downed, roofs were ripped off buildings. Walking the grounds that morning, he surveyed the damage, and Dr. Burkell began to formulate a plan to rebuild, restore, and reopen the campus.
On Saturday, right after the storm, I came back to Lake Charles to see the city and to see my house and just to see what everything looked like. The roof was only ripped off in just a small area of the house, unlike many other houses in Lake Charles where the entire roof was ripped off or the walls. For me, it kind of seemed like devastation like this always happened like somewhere else.
The day after the storm, I saw what the impacts were here on McNeese. It just hurts your heart to see that, to these things that you love. And it was amazing to me and just really disheartening. And you wonder, the university's struggling already with COVID, and now you're hit by a Category 4 hurricane. When are they going to be able to get back on campus?
But immediately, Dr. Burkell and the university police said, these are the things that we have to get done, and we're going to get to work. And it wasn't very much time to kind of sit. We just had to figure it out and move to a different building, start putting together the plan, and Dr. Burkell was on the phone, and we began to work, and we've just not slowed down ever since.
We are prioritizing our instructional buildings and residence halls, Dr. Burkell said in a message to students, so that we can get back to the academic excellence and student success that McNeese delivers.
I'm Richard Roden. I'm the Director of Facilities here at McNeese State University. We had significant damage on the main campus, the athletic campus, as well as the farm. We have worked very hard with the state of Louisiana, our insurance company, and we'll be working with FEMA to try to maximize what we get for repairs and expedite the whole process. What we did is we broke the whole entire campus into 7 different zones, but we are focusing primarily at the moment on the 4 quadrants of the main campus, with a priority on academic and housing facilities. Just these 4 quadrants, which doesn't even include all the buildings on the main campus, is over $77 million. We had damages on just about every roof on campus, some minimal, but most of them are pretty significant. Complete re-roofs required.
Contractors began remediation work in campus buildings hours after the storm passed. Within days, temporary roofs covered all or portions of nearly 140 buildings, and engineering and architectural teams were completing damage assessments on 2 million square feet of building space. The National Guard requested to use parking lots for staging areas and assigned soldiers to assist with debris removal. With initial estimates topping $77 million, Dr. Burkell shared his aggressive plan to reopen the campus with the Southwest Louisiana Legislative Delegation, and he gained support from Governor John Bel Edwards, his staff, and multiple government agencies. The plan called for dividing the campus into 7 zones and having multiple teams of architects, engineers, and contractors working simultaneously. This model had never been used before on a state project. Within 60 days, damages were assessed, engineering teams were on board, bids were let, and contracts were signed. While debris removal and remediation work continued, faculty resumed teaching classes in a totally online format, and essential staff returned to work in the half a dozen buildings that were habitable. Contractors were scheduled to start work on November 1st.
And here we go again with Hurricane Delta.
In nearly the exact same spot that Hurricane Laura hit as a Cat 4 about a month and a half ago.
Louisiana, of course, ground zero. Damage already spotted in Lake Charles as the storm approached this morning. Our hearts go out to these folks as they deal with a second hurricane in just 6 weeks.
On October 6th, 6 weeks after Hurricane Laura struck, came the unthinkable. Hurricane Delta made landfall on a track just a few miles east of Laura's path and headed for Lake Charles and McNeese State University. The strong Category 2 storm brought winds of over 100 miles per hour that ripped temporary roofs off and allowed rain to pour into campus buildings. Buildings sustained additional water damage, and mold was spreading into areas previously spared. Damage from Hurricane Delta drove damage toll up another $19 million, 25% more in damages, to $96 million in the academic area of the campus alone. Additional damages to furnishings and equipment, the athletic complex, and the McNeese farm pushed the damage total closer to $200 million.
You get hit with a hurricane, it's a blow. When you get hit with 2 in 6 weeks, it's a double blow. But this university and this athletic department is not laying down. We're standing back up. We're still standing.
McNeese officials were not deterred and pushed forward. Dr. Burkell vowed to reopen the campus for the spring semester.
We can't wait to come back in the fall and just have a time in the spring where we just kind of try to recover. We have to recover for the spring.
The first 3 buildings were returned to the university on December 12th, 6 weeks ahead of schedule. Students were allowed to move back into one of the residence halls before Christmas. And McNeese held 6 COVID-compliant in-person commencement ceremonies over 3 days for 525 graduates from 32 parishes, 14 states, and 21 countries. Campus offices reopened for the spring semester on January 4th, 2021, and classes began with limited face-to-face sections on January 19th. Today, nearly 85% of the academic buildings are open. Over 500 students are living in campus residence halls. Student athletes are competing in spring sports, and fans are enjoying a respite from time spent repairing homes, reopening businesses, and living in temporary quarters. We know that reopening the campus, bringing faculty and students back, hosting athletic and cultural events are critical to the recovery of Southwest Louisiana and to rebuilding our economy. The McNeese campus is coming back to life, but much work remains. Work to repair the 2-year-old Health and Human Performance Complex has just begun, and it may reopen within 8 months. The fate of 6 buildings, including Farrar Hall, has not been determined, but all indications are that most of them will need to be demolished and rebuilt. When the campus closed on August 26th, enrollment for the fall semester was up compared to 2019, despite the closures and disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The hurricanes destroyed thousands of homes, and apartments and businesses were shuttered for months or closed for good. Students scattered across the country, and it will take several years to regain the ground we lost in enrollment.
For me and for a lot of people, I'm sure, you kind of just think of all the negatives that came from it. But I can honestly say that there are definitely a lot of positive things that came from all of this devastation. We've gotten to see the community come together in a way that we've probably never seen before. And to receive help and to give help has just been such an eye-opening and humbling experience for me.
The nice thing about it all is when it's all said and done, we really do think we will have a much better campus. You'll see other changes on campus to the student union, cafeteria, Farrar Hall, the Memorial Gymnasium. I want to compliment Facility Planning and Control in Baton Rouge, Mark Moses, Steve LaSavio, that group. They've been very instrumental in us getting things done very quickly, also with the support of the governor. He's been instrumental in making this a priority for the whole area. To do $77 million worth of design work within just a matter of weeks and getting it out for bids and taking bids within a 4 to 5 day period is just unprecedented.
No university in the country has endured the challenges that McNeese has over the past 12 months. The COVID-19 pandemic closures were difficult for every university, but rebounding from the 1-2 punch of 2 destructive hurricanes 6 weeks apart shows that McNeese faculty, staff, and students are resilient, creative, adaptive, and tough as nails. We are Cowboy Strong.